Thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies. And this is Crime's Boomerang, an opportunity for you by the Imperator, AMORC. An article from Rosicrucian Digest, Volume 12, Number 1, February 1934. Crime's Boomerang, an opportunity for you by the Imperator, AMORC. I have a personal message that I wish to bring to the attention of all of our members, and particularly to those living in the United States or its dependencies. Ever since the Rosicrucians first came to the shores of the United States and cast their lot in with the others, who came here for the purpose of creating a new world and building a new and better nation of peoples, the Rosicrucians independently and collectively have participated in the establishment and conduct of certain movements and societies that were designed for the unfoldment of the individual and for the evolution of the highest cultural and material, spiritual, mental benefits of all life in this new land. Good citizenship is not only a prerequisite to the advancement of a Rosicrucian in the attainment of its ideals, but a constructive participation in the great work of eliminating all of the destructive features of civilization is a moral obligation on the part of every Rosicrucian. One of the most terrible of the destructive forces eating its way into the heart of American civilization today is the advancement of crime. I refer to crime in all of its insidious features, without reservation, with the genuine tolerance and broad-mindedness that distinguishes the spirit of America. We as a nation of people have been too latent in our attitude towards those actions, those practices, those habits, and customs which permit crimes or encourage crime and in many ways foster and create crime. We have allowed children in their games of play on the streets and even in the schools to indulge in certain unethical habits and customs which inculcate a disregard for fairness, justice, and due respect for the rights of others. We overlook the fact that these seemingly innocent violations of cosmic and natural law can easily develop into criminal instincts or the toleration of criminal practices. Many innocent and childish habits gradually stupefy the youth's consciousness towards unethical and unfair practices and tend to break down the moral stamina. Such children are easily tempted a little later in life to indulge in things which are distinctly criminal or would be led away from the straight and narrow path with some insidious propaganda as the criminal element seems to have established in America for the very purpose of fostering and increasing crime. If it is true in a medical, or shall we say psychological, sense that the use of mild drugs and medicines administered to babies and young children gradually establishes the habit and desire for stronger drugs later in life, and if it is true that this danger was so great in the country that national prohibition against the use of such drugs in patent medicines and other remedies had to be established, it is certainly more true that many forms of crime so popular in America today are the result of our nationwide indifference toward the primary elements which inculcate these tendencies in our youth. We speak too often of innocent pastimes that are not criminal, which if enlarged upon, become not only illegal according to many state and national laws, but distinctively criminal. We think that the use of dice or other forms of chance and games are harmless because they are practiced by the youth of our land in a casual way. And yet the use of dice has become a dangerous practice in this country, and thousands of communities have young men in them who are addicted to the habit of gambling in a large and dangerous way, resorting often to criminal practices in order to maintain and support their desire for gambling, simply through the early use of dice and other forms of chance. Petty thieving leads to grand larceny. Petty deceit leads to crimes of various forms. Improperly organized and unguarded foundations of groups or campaigns indulging in secret practices and insidious habits, lead to the formation of junior gangs, and these in turn lead to the larger forms of gang groups, which compose the very foundation of organized crime in America. The records in every state penal institution show that in the past 20 years, the average age of the criminal confined there has been lower and lowering at an alarming rate, whereas years ago, the average age of the confined criminal was between 30 and 40 years. Today, it's between 21 and 30. We in America have a tendency to believe that crime and the activities of criminals are of no interest to us until it enters our own yard and our own homes. We shut our eyes and ears to all conditions around us and assume the false attitude that it is none of our business what occurs next door or across the street. We never know, however, when it is going to strike close at home. The recent, very unfortunate that occurred in this city of San Jose, right in this peaceful valley, was the result of organized criminal practices striking closely at home among those who have viewed these practices at a long distance and have felt safe in their protection against crime by their own indifference to it. Too many resting secure and happy in this part of California where peace and contentment have reigned for many years, felt that the growing criminal practices throughout the country would never come to their own homes or to their own grounds. But it did come, and the resentment gradually accumulated in unthinking and unreasoning attitudes of mind, resulting in the deplorable action that was taken by those who in all other affairs act reasonably and with due consideration for law and order. Crime must go is the new slogan of the nation, and this campaign against crime is now being rapidly organized throughout the United States and its dependencies by the United States Flag Association, whose President General is Franklin D. Roosevelt, and whose active president is Colonel James A. Moss, formerly of the United States Army, and he is assisted by many former officials of the government and by a large committee of prominent men and women. The United States Flag Association was incorporated under federal law in April of 1924, but it has recently formed a crime prevention division of its organization known as the Council of 76. The national chairman of this council is Patrick J. Hurley, formerly Secretary of War, and I am happy to state to our members that Colonel Moss and the Honorable Patrick J. Hurley have seen fit to select the Imperator of the Rosicrucian Order as state chairman of the Council of 76 for the state of California, but inasmuch as a number of our members were delegates and representatives at the national convention of this nationwide council held in Washington in November, and inasmuch as I have pledged the cooperation of all the Rosicrucian members living in the United States, I now wish to urge each and every one of our members to participate in this nationwide activity of crime prevention. Each state and each city and district will be organized with local councils composed of active participants who are ready to give their moral and intellectual support to the furtherance of this campaign and to carry out the slogan that crime must go. Councils will soon be formed among children in schools, Sunday schools, and elsewhere. And I want to urge our members to watch the newspapers for any announcement regarding this campaign or formation of local councils, and ask them to immediately apply by mail or otherwise to any office that is appointed locally to represent the Council of 76 in this campaign, and offer themselves as members to the council and as workers in the campaign. If there is a junior order of Rosicrucians in your district, you should see that this junior order supports the anti-crime movement and that the members of the junior lodge become members of the Junior Council of 76. As such, they will be given an attractive emblem to wear and may have a banner for display in their lodge room, showing their allegiance to this great campaign and to good citizenship. and will be given valuable instruction in many ways in addition to instruction regarding crime and good citizenship that we shall see is introduced into the work and teachings of the junior lodges. Remember, this is a campaign of education to prevent crime, and not an organization for the purpose of spying upon criminals, nor attempting to prosecute criminals. The campaign includes also the working through proper processes towards having certain laws changed in each state regarding the court procedures which heretofore have tended to delay the prosecution of criminals or to extend to them great latency or provide them with ways and means of escaping punishment. If you are interested in this phase of crime prevention, certainly you should join with the council in its great work. But at least you should become a member of this new nationwide constructive organization and wear its emblem, and show through your moral support that you and the millions of other good citizens are going to assist the great work against crime in the United States and prevent a large portion of it, which is preventable through the united cooperation of its citizens. You owe it to your family and to those dependent upon you, young or old, as well as to yourself, to see that this costly hand of murder, theft, extortion, and inconceivable forms of torture, both mental and physical, do not reach out in the darkness of the night or even in the sunshine of the day, and close its grasping fingers around some member of your family or in your circle of friends. In no other countries of the world are such conditions tolerated as we have had to contend with in the United States in recent years, and we alone, representing the good citizenship of the United States, are responsible for such a disease condition existing in our midst. Clergymen, school teachers, professors, attorneys, businessmen, and women who have time and interest in important affairs, all are invited to give their support at once to this campaign. If you want to take more than a casual interest in the work, write a letter to the Executive Secretary, William F. Sills, care of United States Flag Association, 923 15th Street Northwest, Washington, D.C., and tell him you are a Rosicrucian and that you want to assist in the crime prevention work of the Council of 76 in your district. Sooner or later, he will inform you how and where to make contact with the council's representative for your district, and it will be the finest and most patriotic, as well as a true Rosicrucian act on your part to give your cooperation and moral support to this wonderful work. You will find in the book recently issued by us entitled 1934 and War that our organization anticipated the coming of the Great War on crime because it is written in the cosmic records and is cosmically decreed, and this is your opportunity to give your support to do something that the cosmic has planned for the United States. Those living in Canada or Mexico may not become regular members of this association, but they can lend their support morally, at least by talking about it and helping spread propaganda among their acquaintances living in the United States. Let us all work together and carry forward the great banner of our respective countries wherever we may live, and rid civilization of one of the worst blemishes that has ever come upon its progressive spirit. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.